Vanakkam. I hope you have watched Manjummal Boys, and the goosebumps of that Guna song in that movie is still resisting to fade away from your memory. I'm here to talk about that movie in a Maypurul perspective, that is, a philosophical review. The movie has more than what it has to tell us as a movie itself. It's a philosophical treasure trove, beholding very crucial life lessons deeply woven into what's beyond plain sight. Let's dive deep into it. I'm making this video in English because, as they say in the movie itself, the lessons that this incident have is for entire humanity to make note, and we should amplify that. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the movie, please watch it before you proceed watching this video. Now, there are basically three lessons the movie gives you. Number one, discipline is key to success. Number two, do not desire rest or fun by just comparing your life with others without accomplishing a duty or achieving a result. And number three, do not lead a life where your actions are driven by purely by your heart's cravings or desires. That will lead you to a life threatening situation, even. Okay, now I will elaborate more on these lessons. Lesson number one, the Manjummal Boys are a typical South Indian youth gang and also in many ways a net average reflection of ourselves, both as individual as well as a society. They have all the traits of the youth. They are careless, they are fun loving, they are indisciplined, they are self intoxicating with drinks and smoking, and they are connected by their love for the sport tug of war. But in the movie, you can repeatedly see them fail in the sport because they didn't have the discipline it takes to win a sport as much as they had interest in it. They were inattentive during practice sessions, they drink, they smoke, and not take the game too seriously. Likewise, in our life too, whether it could be a sport or education or career or even a relationship goal, if you are seeing repeated failures, watch for indiscipline, which is the root cause of all failures. If you fix the discipline, you can get the fruit of success. Lesson number two, desire for rest or reward without accomplishing a duty. The Manjummel boys see that their rival team has just got back from a jolly trip to Munnar, a hill station. But before the trip, the rival team has won a game. But Manjummel boys look only at the rewarding rest and the fun part and develop a desire to go for a similar trip themselves. So they plan to go to Goa like any other youth gang in India. And then it all fades away. Then finally they plan to go to Kodaikanal. Likewise, we too in life often look at other people chilling and relaxing, but fail to see the journey that they had took to arrive at this blissful freedom. So, if our desires stem from comparing our lives with others, it's a very deadly combination to avoid. Lesson number three. After reaching Kodaikanal, these Manjummel boys, like always, typically go by their cravings. They drink, they smoke, and toxicate their bodies. But when you go on a trip to a foreign land, you should be at the best of your consciousness to avoid troubles and shame to your homeland. Drinking and smoking strips you of your shame and gets you to anywhere between small troubles to even a life threatening situation. One of the 13 boys go into a restricted area in the forest to seek fun and take a photo and gets trapped into the devil's kitchen, a 900-foot deep cave. Although he was rescued as a result of valor and love, the thing that got him into that situation in the very first place, causing headache and ruckus for the whole village the entire night, and the forest department and the police department, should not be overlooked. It's purely a result of desire, stupid desire. We too, in our life, go by our desires, driven by instant gratification and simple pleasures. Our heart always tend to crave for things that gives you simple pleasures, thereby shaping our characteristic traits and affecting our life growth. Which is why we need to educate ourselves and the society to take calculated actions instead of cheap thrills and adventures. One other key thing to learn from this part of the movie is that there were a lot of warnings and caution all along to the Manjummel boys until the incident happened. The forest guard, a tourist guide, the shopkeeper, everyone will be giving them some warnings about the rain that's going to come, about the dangers of that place, the perilous nature of that cave, and even there will be notice boards and guardrails. But they ignore, blatantly ignore everything, all this warning, and go to the restricted area and get trapped into the cave. So we too ignore all the warnings in our life by our parents, our teachers, the elderly, and the wise, and put ourselves into trouble and suffering often. I don't mean to say that listening to your parents and the elderly would miraculously make life without any trouble or trouble free, but it will guide you into a path with least troubles and potentially avoiding these life threatening situations. And wait, we haven't discussed the very crucial lesson that this movie has to offer. That is the cave itself and how it is very akin to a mother's womb with all its life threatening and spine chilling atmosphere. This is going to be a long discussion, so take a pause if needed and take a break. Next to Plato's allegory of the cave, this real life incident at Guna Cave gives humanity an undismissible lesson. What? A mother's womb and a deadly cave? How do they even compare? Haven't we always imagined mother's womb to be a blissful, safe haven? No. Mother's womb is the most life threatening, fragile environment that we have ever been in all our life or before our life. Science defines 7 threats in a mother's womb that decides the fate of a fetus: mother's overall health, genetic disorders, environmental factors, toxins in food, water, and the air that the mother intakes, father's habits like smoking, alcohol, and anomalies in placenta, tumors in the uterus, the movement of the mother, the medicine that she intakes, and all the germs and infections in the uterus. So there are 7 threats that a fetus has to go through to be born. And yet, amidst all these threats, there in the womb is our nourishment, our moisture, and our protection for life. What a contradicting design by nature, right? So, the Tamil saints have always advised to be cautious about entering this deadly cave called the mother's womb, because it is this womb that brings us into life and every action we do after coming to life. The pleasures and joys, the sufferings and pain, everything in between. Manikavachakar, in his work Tiruvachakam, in a hymn titled Pochi Tiruvagaval, illustrates the threats that a fetus has been protected from by God through each month of this pregnancy. From the first month, when the fetus is in the size of an avocado, until the 10th month, where there is utmost bone breaking pain and suffocation before catching our first breath in this world. And if you read all philosophical works of Tamil science, from Tirukural to Tiruvasakam to Tirupugal to Tiruvaruppa, spanning over 2000 years of various authors and poets and saints, every one of them, each and every one of them, has advised us to exercise caution, not to fall into a mother's womb again. Now, this isn't meant to demean motherhood or scare you about birth, but to make sure that you don't take your human life for granted. Another woman poet and saint, Avayar, says in one of her songs, Aridu Aridu Manidarai Pirathal Aridu. It's an absolute rarity to be born as a human. And it's not just a matter of probability or chance, but rather a great opportunity that is granted as a human life. Close your eyes and think for a moment. All the things you have been gifted in this life: your family, your parents, your friends, the food you eat, the country you live in, the political situation that it has, the memories you cherish, your friends, your environment, the teachers, everything. It's a very intricate design, perfectly planned, that makes your existence possible. There are, of course, challenges in it, but it's a very different topic. Now, coming back to the topic, although the mother's womb, our point of genesis as individuals, is a surprisingly a threatening place, we rarely think or talk about it the amount it should have been emphasized in our life, not even in the slightest manner. This is likely because life constantly diverts our attention with entertainment, duties, challenges, and multitude of other elements. But we should talk about it, discuss about it. Now, science may not have an evidential proof of where we go after death, but philosophy fills that void with a simple logic. After death, the place where we go is a place where we came from. Very certainly, another mother's womb, where we will be bestowed another life, another opportunity to educate ourselves and evolve and grow as a human being. But it's not that easy. It's a process that involves several birth cycles, numerous birth cycles, if not hundreds or thousands, to come into this understanding. This is where saints like Manika Vasagar or Tiruvalluvar or even Jesus stand apart from the rest of the human population. Consider them as the advanced species that you are looking for in other planets or other utopian distant galaxies and all. The saints that we have in our planet, that we had, they were the advanced species that we are looking for, right? So, to come to this understanding, they have went through several hundreds and thousands of birth cycles and life situations, right? Now, to either avoid entering a mother's womb again, or if we happen to enter that again, which is what is most likely to happen, how to safeguard ourselves from the threats of it. Now, a pregnant woman or her family takes all the precautions, but what saves us beyond those measures, which is when the role of God, religions, devotion, discipline, and virtue come into play. And also, this is exactly the mother's womb part of our life. This is exactly where the role of God begins to diminish. And then we are on our own. We are responsible for every actions we take in life. Now remember, religion and devotion are simply tools that guide us towards life and a life of discipline and virtue. much like how simple machines help us accomplish difficult tasks with ease. However, it's important to understand that you can lead a disciplined and virtuous life without religion also, without believing in God also. You can as well be an atheist and lead a very virtuous life. But in such cases, life experiences themselves will play a similar role to God and devotion and shape your mindset. Now, presently, the moral education often lacks this broader perspective. It focuses on simplified cause and effect mechanisms for virtue, such as study well to earn well, do good to get good, or be kind to expect kindness. But this approach is very shallow. We need to kind of refine our education, moral education. We need to educate the future generations about the true complexities of life, the real fabric of it, how it can tempt us away from virtue and lead to suffering in every turning corner, right? So the works of the Tamil saints is solely to do that job if properly leveraged and utilized. It's not just songs to chant and mantras to repeat and get wishes for granted. No, it gives us the way, guides us with clarity. It's a matter of education and academics. It's not magic or miracles. Now, the cave depicted in this movie, or the real life Devil's Kitchen in Kodaikanal, should be the perfect metaphor for mother's womb moving forward. That is how we should teach mankind. It is a dark cave. It's a scary cave. It's something that should be averted. It's something that should be, that should make us feel scared about entering into. Right? We should take all the precautions and be, so careful not to enter it again. So, if you get a clear understanding of this perspective, the attachments of your life, in your life, will strip away without any friction or forced deprivation. Your ego, your lust, your jealousy, your hatred, everything in between. Your life will be optimized for purpose, to help others, to serve the needy, to serve the society, to do your duties, right? That is how your life gets optimized. It's not through practices or deprivation. Now, coming back to the movie, it also shows you how sometimes things we perceive as disasters could also be an opportunity in disguise. Right after this guy Subhash gets trapped into the cave, it starts raining. And I was like, oh man, this shouldn't have happened. I mean, like, how merciless nature can get at times. But later, when they find out the guy is alive inside the cave, the same rain which poured volumes of water into that uh, cave will be referred by a local villager as a source to aid in the lack of oxygen inside the cave. The rain is a blessing in disguise. If it had not rained, the oxygen depletion would have made things even worse. The water that went into the cave kind of restored some level of oxygen into that cave, so that the rescuer can go inside and bring that Subhash outside the cave. Now, also there are several other instances and true stories of similar events. People getting trapped or isolated by accident. For example, the Thailand cave incident, where a bunch of students get trapped while seeking adventure. How would I explain that in a philosophical perspective? As they were perfectly innocent, well mannered, and above everything, they were very disciplined too. But why they got into that trouble? All they seeked was adventure, right? Nature should have shown some kind of mercy to them, you may ask. But which is when we have to understand another pragmatic layer of life called fate. Now, fate is not a dictation of life, but more of a math, an equation to balance our actions and comprehension of life. Even if you are disciplined, your past actions are still likely to affect your life and will still have consequences. And the past that I talk about is not limited to your current birth, what you remember from being born since your birth. So, discipline and virtue are more likely to make your life even worse than a comfortable life. But your perspective towards the challenges that it brings will be much more clearer and confident than ever. So, after rescuing this guy, the movie had one more scene where, which I assume would have been no different from what really happened, is that the survivor will be made to sit on a rock while first aid was being given. An old lady and the local villages will start touching his feet and get some blessings from him, because he had seen death and came back from a very deadly situation, which they consider as like a godly thing, because like they are very innocent people, right? So the old woman will literally say these words: "Sava pathira திருப்பி வந்திருக்க, you have returned from meeting death, so you are like a god." And they will start to seek blessings by touching his feet. He would be sitting totally unconscious and about with all the trauma thing happened. But if you observe closely, the guy did the most stupidest thing. He got drunk and he got trapped into a cave without any carelessly. But Yet after coming through that deadly situation alive, he is lifted to a god level position. If anyone has to be praised in that situation, like God, and get a blessing from, it should be Siju David, right? Who had that valor and courage to rescue his friend from the cave. But the survivor, despite his stupid action, gets a small perk. Likewise, in life also, sometimes stupid people enjoy similar perks and appraisals too. Stupid people rise to levels unimaginable, while the one who did all the real hard work stands humbly in a corner without getting noticed. And the best part is, these people who have this courage and have this courage and valor, they would really want no limelight. They are not attached to what they have done. That feat that they have done, they would not be attached to it. They will be very humble. And if you observe closely, many similar entrapment and rescue missions share one common thread. If you see, if you observe other incidents, like the Thailand cave incident, the Andes flight incident, etc., if you see it, the team's survival hinges on an incredible courage, valor, and selflessness of one single individual. In this incident, Siju David expressed and embodied that heroic spirit. In the Thailand cave incident, the coach demonstrated the same, right? And if you watch the Andes flight movie, you can see that Roberto Canessa did the same in the Andes flight incident thing. So these stories offer us a lesson deeper than what we tend to miss or overlook in plain sight, a lesson for mankind entirely. And these are the lessons that I inferred from Manjummal Boys and wanted to share with the world, my friends. It's not just a story of rescue, but a story that the whole world, especially the younger generation, must make note of and act. Discipline is very, very key to our success, right? We should not go by our heart's desires and cravings. We should exercise caution, when we act in life. And above everything, if you think with a clear mind, life is not something that you have to abstain from or deprive yourself of from. All you have to do is proactively involve in life and enjoy the bounties of it, enjoy the joys of it, but don't fall into the trap of pleasures. That's the life lesson that Manjummel Boys is giving. And the song Kanmani Anbodu Kadalan from the Guna movie couldn't have been more fitting for the scene where Siju is emerging from the cave carrying Subhash on his shoulders. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks to Manjummel Boys team and the real ones, as well as the movie team, for this wonderful life lesson. Thank you. One bonus lesson I would like to highlight from the movie itself is that every soul longs for fun and relaxation. It's towards bliss our life's journey is destined. But throughout the way, there are deceptions of pleasures. Like how for Manjummel Boys, not a victorious game, but a mere photo in a perilous cave meant like a success. Things that appear to be sources of eternal joy, but in real, they are traps of suffering. Pay attention to everything in life. Be proactive. Get yourself disciplined. Study, read, and learn not just from books but also from people around you, young and old, men and women. Have no discrimination, and you will find what life is all about in a much simpler way than how it is portrayed. I hope this video essay has been insightful. If you like more such content, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.